Welcome all to another episode of Quiet Storm Sports. I'm your host, Sutton Def, and in this episode, we are going to discuss some Baltimore Ravens news, the latest and greatest around the castle. Is Lamar Jackson on the trading block? There's been rumors about that. And also, the Ravens head coaching search is getting a little bit weird. I'm going to let you guys know what I mean, this and more on this episode of Quiet Storm Sports. Yes. Like I said, welcome back and welcome into yet another episode of Quiet Storm Sports. I am your host, Sutton Def, and you are listening to the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. Listen, this is a Baltimore Ravens YouTube channel. If this is your first time joining us here and you do enjoy the Baltimore Ravens, or if you just enjoy NFL football, period, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Also, like the video. Helps us out a whole bunch here at PRP. I mean, that's probably the most important thing. If you like this video, that does everything in the world for our channel. So if you could, it's free, takes no time, takes a second, hit that little thumbs up for us. We'd appreciate that. I am live right now, and shout out to everybody in the live chat. Haven't talked to the live family since this morning when I did Sudden Reactions. By the way, if you have not checked out Sudden Reactions, it's a new daily show that I'm doing where I basically react to any and everything that you guys send me. We have a lot of fun over there. We talk about some funny stuff. We talk about some fun topics. We talk about some serious topics. There's a lot of range on Sudden Reaction. So if that sounds good to you, you want to talk about stuff outside of football, especially with the off season coming up, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the Sudden Reactions YouTube channel. And some of the episodes are actually on the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel as well. But again, welcome in, welcome all. Let me bring up who's here in the live chat. Shout out to the fam. Let me see. Zeke Okage is in the chat, says PRP, what's good? What's going on, Zeke? We got Chris M, one of our members in the house. What's going on, Chris M? Big hearts to you. Void, what's going on, man? Rumors, nothing new. Void, another one of our members here at PRP. Shout out to you. Listen, really quick, if you're part of the hashtag replay gang, which means you are listening to this episode of Quiet Storm Sports after I've gone live, first of all, salute to you. Shout out to you. Make sure you leave a like on this video and comment down below. Do you think that there's any validity to any of these trade rumors that we're going to get into on this episode of the show? Keep going through the live chat here. King Blaze, what's up? Chef Spicy Rice, what's going on, man? We got DeWiz in the house. DeWiz, one of our members here, says, peace. What's going on, man? Appreciate you for coming through, pulling up. Joanne224 says, Lamar trade rumors come from Florio. You know, that pro football talk, man. They can't get enough of Lamar. I tell you. Stretch 52 in the house. What's going on, Stretch? Another one of our members here in the chat. What's going on, Stretch? Appreciate you for coming through, rocking out with us. Stretch was in there this morning with the on Sudden Reactions, and so is Chris, and so is Void. I see a couple of Sudden Reactions regulars in here. I'm telling you guys want to check out that show. Nero Psych Sports 95 says Chris Schuler for head coach. Wouldn't hate it. T Shizzle, what's going on, baby? Says finally caught you live. Appreciate that, T Shizzle. Welcome in. Hope you're doing well. D Thoring is in the house. King Lee is in the house. What up, y'all? Y'all are in full support. I appreciate you guys. Before I get into any serious topics, I see Don Royal is in the house too. What's going on, Don? Ravens for life. What's up? Asmodeus, what's going on, man? Before I get into it, I want to say this. I appreciate each and every one of you guys who provide feedback for our show, the Purple Rain Podcast, or whether it be Quiet Storm Sports, whatever. And I apologize if you can hear my dog barking in the background. You guys know Ace. He knows no bounds. But I got some feedback on my mic. They were saying that my mic levels were low, and it's been low for a little while. Like I can never really be as loud as Alex. And the crazy thing was my mic was always maxed out on the game. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna buy a whole new mic, a much better name brand mic, and I did that. And hopefully, I sound a lot better. So if I do sound better to you guys, please make sure you let me know because that's the only way that I can tell. I mean, I can listen to it back myself, and it sounds good to me. But you guys' opinion is what I truly value, and I'll always do whatever I can to pour back into this channel. You guys know that. So I appreciate you guys as always. Lamar Jackson has a no trade clause. Okay, let's get into it, right? let's just get into it. Let's not mince any more words, right? Let's just get into it. As Modia says, which mic brand did you get? It sounds solid. I got a Shure mic. Shure. It's like the industry leading standard for microphones. I didn't get their top of the line. I ain't balling like that yet. Maybe we can keep growing the channel. Maybe I can upgrade it some more. But I got a really good mic. It does sound solid to me. So thank you, man. I appreciate it. All right. So let's get into it, right? Lamar Jackson has come up in trade rumors once again. Let's go ahead and transition here. I saw this article. This was on Yahoo Sports, which kind of broke down the news that came out. I think it was either today or yesterday that some NFL executives and insiders, they've been talking as they normally do. A bunch of them are in Cancun as we speak. And what do you do when you're on vacation? You chop it up. I mean, you talk, right? How's life? I think Lamar Jackson's going to get traded. Oh, okay. Sure. These are the type of conversations that are going on in Cancun currently. But let me go ahead through and read this article with you guys because it details exactly like why this would make sense. And I just want to see if there's anything in this article that tells me some sort of way that the Ravens are going to be able to circumvent this no trade clause that Lamar Jackson has. Because if you didn't know, in Lamar Jackson's contract, as somebody mentioned in the chat, he cannot be traded without his permission. Now, that doesn't mean that if Lamar Jackson and the Ravens can't come to a deal, it doesn't mean that Lamar Jackson can't force his way out of Baltimore, because he can. So I guess you have to take these rumors with a grain of salt because they are assuming that Lamar Jackson is disgruntled, that Lamar Jackson is going to play hardball in these negotiations, and him, Steve Bisciotti, and Eric won't be able to come to a deal or an agreement. And it assumes that he just wants out of Baltimore. It assumes all those things. And you guys know what they say about the word assume. What does it do? It does nothing but makes an ass out of you and me. So let's go and read through this article here. And I've kind of skipped through most of it because, and I'll mention this part. I'll start here. It says Pro Football Talks Mike Florio, Lamar Jackson likes to call him Mike Flores, has already broached the subject that the Ravens could swap Lamar Jackson to the Las Vegas Raiders for the #1 overall pick in the upcoming draft, along with a king's ransom of more draft capital. In this situation, the Ravens would do a mini rebuild behind the projected first overall pick, Fernando Mendoza of the Indiana Hoosiers, who just won the Natty last night. Congratulations to them. Mendoza, he looked great. He had that one rushing touchdown. I know you guys know what I'm talking about. Crazy effort there. Love that kid's charisma. He should be, I don't know what he's going to be in the league, but if there's anything, he can probably be a damn good leader. I can just say that. In terms of how his talents will translate to the National Football League, not sure. Not sure. Jury's still out on that one. But it says, again, in this situation, the Ravens would do a mini rebuild behind the projected first overall pick, Fernando Mendoza of the Hoosiers, and let their new head coach rise up alongside the youngster. On the other end, the Raiders, who desperately need some traction in a city they have failed to capture, which is totally true. I mean, they've been in Vegas for, what, not even 5 years yet? And, I mean, I don't know not one diehard Las Vegas Raiders fan. After they left Oakland, I guess they left their fans there too. Because the only reason why you're going to a Las Vegas Raiders game, while you're in Vegas, is just because you just happen to be in Vegas. You're not going to Las Vegas for a Raiders game. You just happen to be in Vegas, and the Raiders are playing. Let's go see Allegiant Stadium, right? So yeah, they have failed to capture their city. But it says they would bring in a superstar player who could bring fans and wins if everything goes their way. On Tuesday, which is today, the day that I'm recording this, ESPN's Jeremy Fowler asked high-end executives and personnel in the NFL who they thought would be traded or signed in this upcoming offseason. At the top of the list was Lamar's name alongside the Raiders. And it says, I quote here, It just seems like there's been some consternation there with Lamar and the Ravens. And this would be the ultimate Mark Davis move, who is the owner of the Raiders. An NFL personnel evaluator told Fowler for his story, "I'm not even convinced everybody with Vegas would be on board with it, but it would instantly solve their quarterback problems. If the deal went down, it would be one of the biggest in NFL history and drastically change the course of the AFL conference for a decade plus to come." Or I guess the AFC conference. Was it 1941? While still a long shot, as whispers grow and Lamar remains with his gigantic cap hit, rumors will circulate about the superstar quarterback wearing different colors in 2026. Now, again, like I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, what's going on, Coach? I see you in the chat. What up, man? Lamar Jackson has a no trade clause. So everything that I just read in this article is operating under the assumption that Lamar Jackson wants out of Baltimore. The same Lamar Jackson who the owner of his team, Steve Bisciotti, called and consulted before firing former Ravens head coach John Harbaugh. That Lamar Jackson, the one who the owner is consulting with, the one who agreed and said, "Hey, look, I'd be willing to sit in on some of these coach interviews, these head coach interviews." That Lamar Jackson is the one we're talking about, just in case anybody forgot. And see, this is the problem that I have with national sports media. I understand the offseason is right around the corner. And guys like Mike Florio and on some of these other outlets, they have to do whatever they possibly can. And I'm very disappointed in Jeremy Fowler from ESPN. I'm very disappointed in him. Because not once does he mention how at all this is feasible. And so, like I said, my problem with the national sports media is that they cling to straws of information, sometimes that they just whip out of thin air. And they put it out there, not as fact, but like just as maybe this could happen. But the issue is, again, these platforms, NBC, ESPN, they're too big to disseminate misinformation like this. Because I guarantee you 90% of America, 99% of America does not know Lamar Jackson has a no trade clause. So the average Joe Schmo, let's say in the Midwest, reading this article, is going to read this article and think to themselves, "Oh, the Ravens might just ship Lamar Jackson out of town." They might say, "Oh, you don't want to play for X amount of dollars? All right, cool. We're trading you. You have no say in the matter, Lamar. We're going to trade you for the number 1 overall pick. We're going to draft Fernando Mendoza out of Indiana. And we're going to get a couple more draft picks as well. And we're going to rebuild." Thus closing the Ravens Super Bowl window. Why do you think the Ravens would trade their head coach? Trade a head coach with one of the highest winning percentages out of all head coaches in the NFL currently. Why would they trade him? Well, not trade him, but why would they fire that head coach if they did not believe that their Super Bowl window was open right now? The Ravens know that whoever they bring in as their next head coach, and we're going to get into the latest and greatest of that in a little bit too. The Ravens know whoever they bring in, they want to bring in a guy who can win now. Steve Bisciotti said just a couple of months ago, right, when he was doing the interview with John Harbaugh, he said, "I want to win now." Winning now does not look like trading away Lamar Jackson for Fernando Mendoza and a slew of draft picks, which, oh, by the way, 3rd round and on, Eric DaCosta has not proven to be able to hit on many of those draft picks. So again, explain to me how it makes any sense. How this rumor has any sort of credibility. I mean, it's just a rumor, but why does it have the buzz that it does? Like, why are we not shutting this down with evidence? Pure evidence that we have. Pure evidence. I mean, Steve Bisciotti, again, telling Lamar, hey, look, private jet's all yours. Come up to Baltimore. Let's interview some of these new head coaches. Lamar Jackson saying, oh, you know what? I think I will. Right? So, again, rumors debunked. Basically, what you're saying here is either Lamar Jackson is currently furious with the Ravens and he wants out, or you think that the contract negotiations are going to go so sour to the point where Lamar Jackson pulls what he pulled in 2020, what, 3? Or I think it was 2022, where he requested a trade publicly. Now, I am on record on this very show saying that there is a possibility that Lamar Jackson plays hardball in that negotiation room this time around. Because he played hardball last time, him and his mom, to the tune of literally requesting a trade and then not getting a deal done until draft day. And based off of what we know now, Steve Bisciotti, again, evidence, things that he said himself, Bisciotti, he wants to get this Lamar deal done before April. That puts a clear timeline for Eric DeCosta and Lamar Jackson. Both of them. Do I think that that will put a little bit of stress on the negotiation to just get something done? I do. Do I think that Lamar Jackson will be willing to, you know, give up too many of too much of what he wants to appease the Ravens? I don't. However, based off of this firing of John Harbaugh last week, I know the Ravens aren't one thing. And specifically, I know Steve Bisciotti is not one thing, and that's stupid. Steve Bisciotti's on record saying, I want Lamar to be my quarterback. So again, Mike Flores, I ask you, where are you getting your information from? ESPN's Jeremy Fowler. Who are these executives? And why do they think that this is possible? Unless they know something that we all don't. Asmodeus with the super chat donation. Appreciate you, Asmodeus. Dropping the 2-piece in the chat. Says, why don't we ever hear about Josh Allen wanting a trade? I mean, Josh Allen is the golden boy of the NFL. I mean, what are we talking about? Why would Josh Allen want to trade? The only reason why people would think that Lamar Jackson would want to trade, and this is fair, is because one, he's publicly requested a trade before. Two, you saw at times how frustrated he was this season. And three, I don't know. I just think that it is much more profitable to talk about Lamar Jackson and say, oh, he wants out. He's frustrated. You know, he's disgruntled with the Ravens organization. Much easier to say that, gets way more clicks, way more likes. But yeah, we never hear anything about Josh Allen. There's still, honestly, and we're going to get to Josh Allen in a second. Do not get me wrong. Coach says, hit the like button. He's absolutely right. Please hit that like button. Hit that thumbs up. It's free. Takes no time. Only a second of your time about. Please do that. We'd appreciate that. Helps us out a whole bunch here over at PRP. A whole bunch. Lamar gets shit popping way more than 17. Yeah, in these Twitter streets, these internet streets, it's profitable to talk about Lamar. Real profitable. But again, there's no validity to these claims at all, at least that I know of. I don't see anything that points to Lamar Jackson requesting a trade because that is what would need to happen. The Ravens have no power in just saying, hey, look, we want to get Lamar Jackson out of town. We're going to go ahead and rebuild, get the Mendoza kid here, get a slew of draft picks, go that route. They cannot do that unless Lamar Jackson wants to get traded. And I don't see the Ravens sabotaging their relationship with Lamar Jackson, possibly further than it already is, to the point where he wants out. I think I have full faith that Lamar Jackson wants to turn the page with the next head coach. The scars from the last 8 to 9 years are healing without John Harbaugh in the building. And again, wish John Harbaugh nothing but the best. He just had his first interview today with the Giants. Loved it for him. Love it for him. Oh, I'm sorry. The New York Football Giants, as Harbaugh made clear today. But again, for the Ravens, the scars are healing from the past struggles, the playoff losses, right? The missing the playoffs on a couple occasions. Like the scars are healing. And I think that Lamar Jackson wants to be a part of this new Ravens team. So again, why would he request a trade? Makes no sense. Makes no sense at all. At all. Ashley, what's going on? Good evening. One of our members here in the chat. What's up, Ashley? Ashley was also in here this morning for Sutton Reactions. We had some great conversations. Some great conversations. Neuropsych Sports says Loop has to go ASAP. No, I mean, Bashadi said Loop is going to be our kicker. We're moving forward with Tyler Loop. We are. We are moving forward with Tyler Loop. Is what it is. Okay. So let's move on from that baloney, right? Bunch of baloney, really. That's all it is. What I want to move into next is the latest news on the Ravens head coaching search. So Alex and I talked yesterday about how they were bringing in guys like Anthony Weaver this week for a second interview, bringing in guys like Jesse Minter this week for a second interview. There were a couple of guys who I'm sure were probably going to get a second interview, but they were hired already. Kevin Stefanski comes to mind as one of them. Robert Saleh got hired by the Titans last night. I believe it's the Titans. And it came out today that Robert Saleh's interview with the Ravens was underwhelming. And then I read that they did the interview only a day removed from the 49ers getting trounced by the Seattle Seahawks, right? And I think that checks out. I don't understand. And let me just say this. I don't understand for the life of me why teams cannot just wait until after the season is over, after the dust has settled, right? And then conduct these interviews. Because I'm not going to lie to you. If I'm Robert Saleh, then yeah, I'm probably going to be bummed out too. One second, guys. Oh, we got another super chat donation. At least I think. No, it was just delayed on my end. My bad. My bad. Back in 30 seconds, guys. Really quick. Back in 30 seconds. Make sure you guys like the video. All right. We're back. But yeah, like I said, if I was Robert Saleh, I'd be pretty pissed too. Heather, what's up? What's going on, Heather? Over 100 people watching live right now. Shout out to you guys. Again, Thank you guys so much for coming through. My name is Sutton Def. You are listening to the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. And this show right here is called Quiet Storm Sports, a daily show where I talk about our Ravens, the latest and greatest daily news that we're getting from them. Of course, the head coach search is heating up. That's what I want to get into next here on the show. Let's start with this. So the Ravens brought in, let me say this. This head coaching search is getting weird. Is getting very, very weird. I realized that the Ravens were casting a wide net sometime last week. You know, when they were interviewing the likes of Davis Webb, and even guys like Mike McDaniel. I just didn't see the Ravens having any particular interest in some of these candidates, right? I just didn't see it. But let's take a look at this. This is the latest news as of just a little earlier today. And this is from Jonas Schaefer. He tweets that this is the most surprising candidate yet. And this is talking about Broncos special teams coach Darren Rizzi, who was expected to get a head coaching interview with the Ravens. And Rizzi earlier impressed in an interview with the Giants, who obviously could not pass up John Harbaugh. Interesting. The most interesting thing about that is the fact that this Darren Rizzi guy, and I know what you're thinking, who? Who the hell is Darren Rizzi? Because that's what I was thinking. And maybe I just don't know ball. You guys can let me know if you guys knew who Darren Rizzi was from jump. I did not. Okay? I'm not that cool. But again, the most interesting part about this is the fact that this is a special teams coordinator that we're bringing in to interview for our head coaching role. This is not to like fulfill some sort of Rooney rule or check a box or anything like that. No. We're just bringing him in based off of his merit, which is weird to me because last week when Steve Bisciotti had that presser, the famous presser, still love that presser. He mentioned in his conversation with John Harbaugh over the phone when he fired him, he said that John said to him, hey, look, you don't have to apologize to me for anything. You don't owe me anything. You gave me 18 years and you hired a special teams coach and took a chance on him. You didn't have to do that, but you did. Again, these were Harbaugh's words to Steve Bisciotti after Steve Bisciotti fired him over the phone. And Steve Bisciotti shared that exchange with us. So if after 18 years of experimenting with a special teams coach, why would you then turn around and hire a special teams coach? I mean, you talk about a lateral move. That is the most lateral of lateral moves I probably would have ever seen in my life. And by the way, that makes three. That makes three coaching assistants from the Broncos that the Ravens are doing their due diligence on and interviewing. Okay? That's Darren Rizzi. That is Vance Joseph and Davis Webb. Now, I will say the Broncos defense and Vance Joseph, maybe that's not too bad of a option there. But I'm still out on him. I would much prefer a Brian Flores over a Vance Joseph. Honestly, I would prefer a younger candidate like a Jesse Minter as well. Real quick, Asmodeus with the super chat donation. Thank you so much, Asmodeus. We appreciate you, brother. As always, says, I'd like to make one point. Everyone is talking like second interviews are final interviews. I don't believe that. I'm doubting Sashi Brown and EDC's ability to find a coach. Also, expect McDermott to get a look. Okay, number one, I don't need any look from McDermott. I'm sorry. I'm good. When it comes to rival teams and just poaching their head coach that they fired, I don't want anybody sloppy seconds. And I get it. I get it. Sutton, you're going to get somebody sloppy seconds, especially if you get a former head coach. Sure. But there's just certain teams where I feel like we shouldn't be taking head coaches from. It almost feels like a conflict of interest. That would be taking a Mike Tomlin, who, by the way, said he's going to stay retired, apparently. That would be a Sean McDermott. For me, that would have been a Kevin Stefanski. I didn't want any of those guys. None of them. You know, maybe they will, again, do their due diligence on Sean McDermott and bring him in for an interview, but not for my money. I don't like that. I don't like that. Now, in terms of you talking about everybody's talking like second interviews or final interviews, well, here's the thing. I don't think that if you're getting a second interview with the Ravens, it's probably your last. I think it's your last one. I don't think that they're going to bring you back in for a third interview. So what I think is happening right now is they're having these second interviews, and after they're done with these 4 or 5 second interviews, then they're going to take stock of all 5 of those interviews from those candidates, and they're going to pick the best one. So I tend to disagree with you here, Asmodeus. I think that they're final interviews. I think that these are final interviews here. The only one that they're waiting to see what happens with is Clint Kubiak. And of course, Chris Shula as well. Kubiak, Shula, and Nate Shilhazy. Because they they coach for the Seahawks and the Rams, respectively. So it'll be very interesting. It'll be very interesting to see how the NFC Championship game plays out. Because if the Seahawks lose and we're able to then get our second interview with Kubiak, I think the Ravens pull the trigger on Kubiak. I do. But if the Seahawks win, I think that the Ravens have to start managing risk and say, okay, do we really want to wait until the Super Bowl is over, which will be another 2 weeks, and wait to see if Kubiak is still wanting to come coach this team? Meanwhile, a bunch of other names that we could have potentially selected go off the board. In the meanwhile, a Brian Flores might get swept up. A Jesse Minter, who had a second interview with the Raiders today, he might get swept up. You know, some of these other guys, they could fly off the shelves relatively quickly. So I think that the loser of the NFC Championship game, the candidates that are on the losing team for our head coaching job, those are going to be very, very hot names come Monday morning. You're either going to be looking at Kubiak as an extremely hot name. You're going to be looking at Chris Shula as an extremely hot name, or Nathan Shilhazy. Again, Chris Shula, Rams defensive coordinator. Nate Shilhazy, Rams pass game coordinator. Boy genius on offense, he is. So, and then of course, Clint Kubiak. Kubiak lineage, them and the Shanahans, damn near synonymous, right? He's probably my 1A, 1B pick between him and Flores for me. And then we can get into the mentors and all that for me, again, for me. But that's just something to think about, guys. The NFC Championship game is going to tell us a lot. It's going to tell us a whole lot, right? Thank you so much again, Asmodeus, for making it rain here on this episode of Quiet Storm Sports. Asmodeus says, thing is, all the coaches being scooped up are the coaches I didn't want. Yeah, for now. For now. Stretch 52 says Chris Shula interviewed with the Steelers. He did. I didn't hear about that. I did hear Brian Flores interviewed with the Steelers. And I did also hear that Mike Tomlin recommended Brian Flores to the Steelers for that head coaching job, which it's like it would scare me if they had their quarterback of the future, but they don't. I think that Brian Flores can come in there and kind of reset that culture, and honestly, not even reset, because Mike Tomlin, I think, had a same culture, had a similar culture to what Brian Flores would bring. So it wouldn't be much of a reset for the Steelers. It would be more of a refresh, right? Just hit the refresh button real quick. That's all. That's all. It just got a little stale. We can stick with the same message: hard nosed Pittsburgh Steelers. You know what I mean? Like, no nonsense coach. We can stick with the same culture. We just need to hit the refresh button. There's been too much scar tissue built up with Mike Tomlin. Don't need to change the culture. Just get a new guy in, right? So I think that's a huge possibility. Huge possibility. Purple City 410, what's going on, man? Says Bills probably want Kubiak, and that's another possibility. Another possibility right there. If the Ravens wait until, and let's just say hypothetically speaking, let's say the Seahawks knock off the Rams, right? And the Seahawks go, they're 2 weeks until they play the Super Bowl. If the Bills do not hire a head coach between now and February, Kubiak could be in danger in terms of him coming to the Ravens. Because I have no doubt in my mind that Clint Kubiak is probably at the top, the forefront of the Bills' wish list and Bills fans' wish list when it comes to head coach. You're talking about a guy who is going to undoubtedly be able to get the best out of Josh Allen, James Cook, and that offense. And you pair that with their plans, their rumored plans, and this rumor actually makes a little bit more sense. Their rumored plans to go after an A.J. Brown this offseason, right? That's what I've been hearing. The Bills feel like they have a deficiency of talent at receiver. They see A.J. Brown over there in Philly, only a couple hundred, miles away. Say, hey, A.J., why don't you come over here, play for us in the AFC? Josh Allen, MVP, new head coach, let's ride. And I think A.J. Brown will be very down for that. And that would be scary. The combination of Josh Allen, A.J. Brown, and James Cook, that would be scary. I'm not going to lie to you. So it's just which coaching job would Clint Kubiak find more attractive? That's what it boils down to, right? That's what it boils down to. Well, here's the thing. The guys on the, what is it called? The Speak Easy podcast. The Speak Easy podcast with Shady McCoy and Emmanuel Acho. They talked about, if you were Clint Kubiak, if you were the most, coveted head coach that's a free agent right now, would you prefer being the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens or being the head coach of the Buffalo Bills? So basically, who do you like more, Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen? Let's listen to what they had to say about it.
Yeah, I'm going with Josh. I think Josh is a better player. I think Josh is a better quarterback. I think when I watch these two play, I think they both affect the game tremendously, right? Probably Lamar is obviously a lot more, well, he's more athletic. But I challenge you this way. Josh, okay, tremendously, right? Probably Lamar is obviously a lot more, well, he's more athletic. But I challenge you this way. Josh, okay, is it a bigger gap from Josh running from like Lamar, because Lamar runs better than Josh, compared to Lamar? Is it a big gap from Lamar throwing
to
better
Josh?
Than Josh? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think I would go more to the Lamar throwing, probably better than Josh, because I think it's closer gap with Josh running.
Than it is with throwing the football.
The styles are different, but if you really watch the way Josh can run, you know what I'm saying? But throwing, I think it's a bigger gap from Lamar throwing as well as Josh. So I would go Josh. It's super close though. I mean, if you gave me Lamar Jackson, I'm happy. If you give me Josh, I'm happy. Like, you can't.
So that is Shady McCoy, future should be Hall of Famer running back who did actually play with Josh Allen. He did actually play with Josh Allen. He's saying here that if you are a head coach and you have the option to choose between the Ravens or the Bills as your next job, who are you picking? And they say, oh, Josh Allen. Josh Allen, right? Easy. Because Josh Allen, well, what he's saying here, let me break it down this way. He's saying that Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, when it comes to passing, there is a bigger gap between Lamar's passing and Josh Allen's passing than there is between Lamar's running and Josh Allen's running, which I think is a bunch of baloney. I think that that's a bunch of baby back bullshit. Because Shady, what metric, what statistic are you using to measure the fact that Josh Allen is that much better than Lamar Jackson throwing the ball? Again, if the gap between Lamar and Josh Allen is this wide, right? There it is, this wide when it comes to passing the football, how are you quantifying that? How are you quantifying that? Is it just the eye test? Like, I don't understand. Because if we look at the numbers over the course of each of these guys' career, Lamar Jackson beats out Josh Allen in completion percentage, yards per attempt. He has less interceptions. He has a higher passer rating, better QBR. So what are we talking about? Again, how do you quantify that? How do you quantify that? That's where I'm kind of lost here. Shady, is it just the fact that when you look at Josh Allen, is it the throwing mechanics? It's got to be the mechanics or something. I haven't seen Josh Allen make not a single throw in his career that Lamar Jackson cannot make. And you know what's been burning me up these past couple of days? I see national media all on television talking about some, oh, did you see that throw that Caleb Williams made on Sunday night? Amazing throw, spectacular throw. One of the best throws of this season. One of the best plays of this season. And a lot of these sportscasters are saying, oh, there's no other quarterback who can make that throw. There's no other quarterback who can make that play in the NFL. But maybe Patrick Mahomes. Maybe Josh Allen. And Lamar Jackson is conveniently left off. It's almost as if people in the national media forget about everything Lamar Jackson is able to do after one loss. It's like the recency bias with Lamar Jackson is so strong. It's so strong that the media can just poof, forget about all of the incredible passes, all of the incredible plays that Lamar Jackson has made. You know, because I've seen Lamar Jackson make that play before, the one that Caleb Williams made. I mean, I've seen him dart around and dart back from the likes of Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett at the same time and throw a touchdown. Happened on, I believe it was Sunday Night Football a couple years ago. You guys remember the one. Yeah, it was Sunday Night Football. Tirico and Collinsworth. I remember the call. He got a touchdown out of it. So Lamar can make all of these throws that you guys are talking about. All of these throws. You guys remember the throw when Lamar Jackson gets out of the pocket against the Cowboys? This was back in the Hollywood Brown days. Gets out of the pocket, you know, maybe like 30 yards out from the end zone and throws a perfect rainbow ball to the back of the end zone only where Hollywood could get it. But for some reason, we don't give Lamar Jackson credit throwing the ball. We look at his numbers and we say, okay, yeah, he's a good, he can pass now. He's certainly elevated that point of his game. But it's like, no, you guys aren't giving him the credit. You guys are acting like they talk about Lamar Jackson's passing like, oh, he's a good passer for a running quarterback. It's offensive. It's offensive. I hate that. I hate it so much. According to Dan Orlovsky, Allen's picks are just arm punts. Him and Tony Romo, right? Him and Romo. But yeah, again, Shady, how the hell are you quantifying that Josh Allen is a better thrower of the football than Lamar Jackson? I need an answer there. I need an answer. It's got to just be the eye test, the mechanics, right? Maybe because you've seen Josh Allen rip it up close and maybe you haven't with Lamar. Maybe that's what it is. And Josh Allen, he has a great arm. Don't get me wrong. But again, show me some throws that he has made that Lamar Jackson can't or hasn't. You can't. Show me the numbers outside of pure passing touchdowns and passing yards, because Josh Allen also has way more attempts than Lamar Jackson throwing the football. But show me yards per attempt. Show me completion percentage. Show me the quarterback rating. Lamar Jackson leads in all of those stats. And when we talk about the running, Shady says that Josh Allen's running is closer to Lamar Jackson than Lamar Jackson's passing is to Josh Allen. Josh Allen is great at toting the rock, but he is nowhere near even in the stratosphere of Lamar Jackson. Oh, Sutton, how do you quantify that? Well, we can look at the amount of 1,000-yard rushing seasons that Lamar Jackson has. We can look at just quite simply just some of the highlight reel plays. Josh Allen is a good runner, but he's just big. He's just big. That's all it is. He's big and he's tall. He runs with zero finesse. He just runs with power. And if you give him straight line speed, yeah, he can get up out of there because he's got a long stride. But in terms of running ability, Lamar Jackson has every trick in the book up his sleeve. Right? He doesn't have to go through you. He doesn't even let you get a finger on him. There's a reason why. Lamar Jackson is not the banged up, hurt quarterback who never amounted to anything that people thought that he was going to be coming out of college. There's a reason for that. Everybody said, oh, Lamar Jackson, he won't last. He's a running quarterback, 2, 3, 4 years max until he's too banged up, second, third string quarterback out of the league. He runs too much. Quarterbacks who run, they get banged up, especially if they're not bigger guys. That's the thing. Lamar Jackson has proven time and time again. I think part of being a phenomenal rusher, part of being a great runner of the football is your ability, is your skill to not get hit, to not take big hits. Lamar Jackson has a skill to where when he goes down on his own terms. That's a skill when it comes to running the football. So if you ask me, and yes, I am a biased Ravens fan, but no, I'm not just talking out of my ass. I'm talking logically here. If you watch back Lamar Jackson's tape, it's night and day. I mean, if we're going to put Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson even in the same stratosphere when it comes to running the football, we also have to put Josh Allen and Michael Vick in the same stratosphere when it comes to running the football. And most people would not do that. And there's a reason for it. We know deep down Lamar Jackson is, hats off, hands down, the best running quarterback to ever do it. And again, when we go back to who throws the ball better, if you want to say that Josh Allen slightly edges out Lamar, fine. But to say that there's like a legit gap, nah, because you can't quantify it. And you can't show me with the eye test throws that Josh Allen has made that Lamar Jackson just simply cannot make. You just can't do it. You can't do it. Simone, what's going on? Appreciate you for joining the chat. Make sure you guys like this video. Please, 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 guys, like the video. Take a second to like the video if you are enjoying the content you are currently consuming. If you are new here, again, welcome. My name is Sutton Def. You are listening to Quiet Storm Sports on the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. Please consider subscribing. If you do like daily Ravens content, we still have a lot to cover. Of course, this offseason, playoffs still aren't over, but this Ravens head coaching carousel is heating up by the day. So if you don't want to miss any of the latest and greatest news and my opinions, as well as my co-host Simply AS10, please please make sure hit that subscribe button so you don't miss anything. We've actually been gaining a lot of subscribers recently, so we appreciate you guys for that. We appreciate you guys for that so much. So much. But yeah, Shady's definitely measuring by friendship. That's for sure. That's for sure. Spiritual War Exposed says he's a good thrower for a black quarterback is what they actually mean. Let's not tap dance around it. Yeah, it's like it's like when the white guys used to say to the black girls in school, like, you're pretty for a black girl. Oh, that hurts so bad. But you're right, Spiritual War. Let's not dance around it. Let's not dance around it. We'd be lying to ourselves if we said that there was zero racial component to a lot of this rhetoric that's spread around Lamar Jackson. Did you guys hear the rumor about Lamar Jackson not being likable? You guys hear that one? I heard somebody say that Lamar Jackson doesn't receive the same grace as Josh Allen because Lamar Jackson isn't as likable. And it got me to thinking. I was like, wait, are we talking about the same Lamar Jackson? Are we talking about the Lamar Jackson who, has literally washed children's feet, done community service, gives back to the kids? Are we talking about that Lamar Jackson, the one who shows the utmost respect for the media members and has since he was a rookie? But because he wears gold chains on the sidelines and sometimes slams his helmet out of frustration, like most players do when they're frustrated, he's not likable. Y'all are telling on yourselves. You're telling on yourselves. You're telling on yourselves. You're telling on yourselves. They can miss me with that one. That's what I'm saying, Asmodeus. That's what I'm saying. So, all right. Let me see here. What else I wanted to share with you guys? The latest and greatest news from Ravens, the Real Housewives of the NFL, right? Let me see. Let me pull this back over. Steve, appreciate the sub, Steve. Appreciate that. Breon Mitchell says Lamar didn't sell his soul. Remember, he didn't sign NIL deals to Nike or Adidas. Lamar gave back to the community, put Mom in position to be an agent, have restaurants all in Florida. Lamar is the GOAT on and off the field. Yeah, I mean, are we talking about the same Lamar Jackson who literally hosts a summer camp every single year? He's done an annual summer camp every single year since he's been in the league, right? Where kids come out in Florida around his hometown. They all get to meet him, do drills, things like that. My guy Engraven, friend of the show, he's actually met Lamar multiple times at these events, and Engraven has nothing but great things to say about Lamar Jackson. Last time I talked to Engraven, as a matter of fact, he was telling me how, he's exactly how he seems on TV, exactly as advertised. Lighthearted, fun-loving, laughing a lot, always showing the teeth. So the fact that you could say he's unlikable seems like you're trying to build some sort of agenda. I'm not going to lie to you. And that's nasty. That is nasty. And yeah, like Stretch says, I mean, look at how other players talk so glowingly about him. And Chris M, wake it up. Wake it up. A free summer camp. A free summer camp. As Modi says, I missed a super chat. Did I? Hold on. Maybe chat was moving too quick. Oh, yeah. My bad, bro. Asmodeus with another super chat donation, dropping the 5-piece in the chat. Appreciate you, Asmodeus. Dropping the 5 pieces. I'm going to knock this down real quick. One division has 2 other teams looking for a new head coach. The other has New England. I guess you're talking about the Shady McCoy take, right? Yeah, I mean, when you look at it that way, it's like you have the easiest path, right? The Steelers are the Steelers, right? They're going to be a tough out no matter who they get at head coach, right? I expect them to still be a tough team to beat. But as for the Browns and the Bengals, I mean, the AFC North only has one coach right now, and Zach Taylor for the Bengals. And I don't know how he's still last man standing. I have no idea. No clue. Not one. But there's definitely an easier path to victory with a 2-time MVP there. You got a Hall of Fame running back, talent everywhere on defense if you can figure out how to use them. In what is seemingly right now a very weak and vulnerable division. I mean, so would you rather go and coach up that, or would you rather go to Buffalo, where you get an MVP quarterback? However, you get a lackluster roster that you kind of got to build from the ground up. You got to retool that Buffalo roster, right? Make some big swings in free agency, what have you. And oh yeah, by the way, you got a powerhouse now in your division. The Patriots are back. And I expect them to be damn good for a damn long time. Because Drake May is young. And guess what? So is his head coach, Mike Vrabel. They're going to be around at least a decade plus. That pair. And they're only going to get better. You think about it. This is the worst roster that the New England Patriots will have for the remainder of the Drake May and Mike Vrabel experience. Because they're going to go out this year and get some more proven talent on offense. They're going to go out and they're going to get a tight end. They're going to go out and they're going to get another receiver. And maybe Travion Henderson and Stevenson, they can step it up next year as well. They're going to go get more pieces on defense. That defense who is currently swarming. So, again, I agree with you, Asmodeus. The more attractive coaching job is clearly the Ravens. Clearly. All right, but let me switch over here back to my screen share with you guys. So, like I mentioned earlier, going through a couple of quick hitters here. Raiders completed a second interview with Jesse Minter for their head coach opening. Jesse Minter could potentially be scooped up sooner than Ravens fans might, care for, which is why, again, I don't know if the Ravens can wait out for a Clint Kubiak when the time comes. I just don't know. I don't know about it, man. Another Super Chat donation. What's going on, Yakuzi 2020? Dropping these what are these euros in here? Oh, man. First time we've gotten that currency in here. Let me go ahead and see this as my stream refreshed over there. It says Lamar is on the far end of the paper bag. Think about all the other black quarterbacks. Which one of them get the most hatred? The hatred will never stop. You talking right there, bro. It's on top of a race thing. You unpack it further, it does become a colorism thing. It does. Because I don't think you ever hear the things that you hear about Lamar Jackson about a Patrick Mahomes, who is far on the other end of the spectrum, right, than Lamar Jackson. I don't want to speculate too much about it because I don't know these people who are making these decisions. I do know America, though. I do know America has a history of racism. And I know the NFL is a good old boys club. So would it surprise me if people have their prejudices and biases towards Lamar Jackson just based off of their preconceived notions of people who look like Lamar Jackson and talk like Lamar Jackson and dress like Lamar Jackson? Yeah, I do think that they have those. I think that they have those for sure. 100%. 100%. I think if you took I think if you took most NFL executives or most NFL owners or most NFL GMs or hell, most NFL head coaches, and you said, hey, would you rather have your daughter date Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson? Guess who they're picking? So you talking, brother. You talking. Thank you so much for the Super Chat donation, Yakuzi. Appreciate that. All right, moving on here. Let me see what I was sharing with you guys. Oh, yeah, really quick, before I forget, let's go back here and let's talk about Darren Rizzi for a quick second and just look at his background really quick. I'm going to read through some of this so we can kind of get an idea of why the Ravens would want to interview another special teams coach to be their head coach. I don't understand. So let me see. Darren Rizzi enters his first season as a special teams coordinator / assistant head coach for the Denver Broncos in 2025. He was hired by the club on Valentine's Day of last year. Rizzi, a 32-year coaching veteran with 16 years of NFL experience with the New Orleans Saints from 2019 to 2024, in Miami, 09 and 18, joined Denver after spending the previous six seasons with the Saints. In New Orleans, he served as assistant head coach / special teams coordinator, as well as interim head coach for the final 8 games of the 2024 season. Interesting. So he's been an interim head coach before. Never a head coach in the NFL. Just an interim head coach for the final 8 games of the Saints 2024 season. It goes on to say, as special teams coordinator with the Saints, Rizzi's units were ranked in the top 10 by Rick Gosselin's annual special teams rankings 4 times, 2019, 2020, and 2021, 2023 as well, including ranking first in 19, second in 23, and fifth in both 20 and 21. So basically, this guy's a pretty good special teams coordinator. Okay? He's a pretty damn good special teams coordinator. But I ask the question again. If you are the Ravens, if you are Steve Bisciotti, are you really in your right mind after getting rid of your special teams coach or your special teams guru of a head coach of 18 years? You're going to then turn around and say, we're going to hire another guy who specializes in special teams. Absolutely not. I just don't understand this. I don't get this one. I'm not going to lie to you guys. And to think that this is the third guy that the Ravens have pulled from the Denver Broncos for an interview for their head coaching spot. The third guy is another special teams guy. I mean, what do the Ravens see in this guy? I don't understand it. I don't know. I do not know. I mean, like, all this special team accolades and accomplishments, they're cool and all. But hey, how are you going to get Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry to the Super Bowl? How are you going to revitalize this defense and have them forcing turnovers in January? You know, I mean, if you can get Tyler Loop to stop kicking out of bounds, right? And you can get him to make some high pressure kicks, maybe past 50 or past 45, awesome. If you can continue how well Jordan Stout has been punting the ball, awesome. What does that do for us in the grand scheme of things? Nothing. So again, I don't understand the Darren Rizzi interview. Again, I know the Ravens are trying to cast a wide net, but this seems like they're trying to cast it over the entire ocean. And I don't get it. I don't understand it. Another super chat donation. This one's coming from, let me see. 86 Ghost in the chat. What's going on, 86 Ghost? Appreciate you for coming through, man. Steve confusing him with Sky Rizzi. Oh my gosh. The medication. Lord. The Sky Rizzi. Oh man. Darren Rizzi being them Sky Rizzi commercials. He can be special teams coordinator, not head coach. Well, here's the thing about that, Stretch. 86 Ghosts. Let me leave your comment up here. Appreciate you again, brother, for your super chat donation. But let me bring this up, because this also came out earlier. And as Modius with another super chat donation, right back with a 2-piece, says, if Denver beats New England, I'm looking at their coaches too. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I'll have to do some digging on that one. But look at this, guys. Because you mentioned, somebody in the chat says, let me see. He can be special teams coordinator, but not head coach, talking about Darren Rizzi. Look at this news. Ravens special teams coordinator Chris Horton is among a handful of coaches the team has blocked for lateral moves, sources say. His assistant, Anthony Levine Sr., and senior special team coach Randy Brown might also be retained, pending the new head coach hire. So obviously, Eric DeCosta has said, hey, look, Chris Horton, you're not going anywhere, which makes the Darren Rizzi interview make even less sense. Because if we're going to retain our special teams coordinator, Chris Horton, and we're blocking them from going elsewhere, why would you then be redundant by bringing in a head coach who has a similar skill set to Chris Horton? I mean, it makes no sense. This thing's getting weird, y'all. It's getting weird. It's getting very, very weird. Thank you so much again for your super chat donation, Asmodeus. I got to look into New England's coaches and see if there's anybody there that the Ravens would potentially poach. But the way I'm looking at it, I mean, I hope Denver does beat New England. Because here's the thing, guys. If New England beats Denver, which I do think that they will, then that means all of Denver's coaches are ready to get hired. That goes for Vance Joseph, Davis Webb, and Darren Rizzi. And then on the NFC side of things, if let's say the Seahawks win and they go to the Super Bowl and they play the Patriots, then Kubiak still will not be available. Meanwhile, Vance Joseph, Davis Webb, and Darren Rizzi are. And Chris Shula and Nate Shilhassy will be. I guess what I'm trying to say here, guys, is for my money, I really hope the Seahawks lose this week. Again, I'm rooting for McDonald. I want to see him do well. I really do. Trust me, I do. However, I really would love to see Clint Kubiak as a Raven. I would. But I think that if he goes to the Super Bowl, he won't be a Raven. I think that the Ravens will go ahead and they'll go ahead and hire somebody before the Super Bowl, before some of these other candidates that they like get picked up off the board. Just what I'm thinking, guys. Just what I'm thinking. We have another super chat donation. This one's coming from Purple City 410, making it rain here on Quiet Storm Sports with a 10-piece donation in the chat. Appreciate that. Purple City 410 says, how you feel about John Harbaugh not thanking fans when he left and in his introduction to the Giants media? Did he deliberately say that, like, I'm not thanking fans, or did he just kind of like omit thanking the fans? Because I did see where he thanked Steve and Ozzy, and I think he even mentioned Eric in there too. And of course he mentioned the players. I saw that too, but I didn't see where he mentioned it. Maybe he just omitted that part, which I don't have a big problem with it, only because it's like we wanted him out of here. And I know me and Alex had that funny segment last week on the show where we talked about how the Giants kind of wined and dined John Harbaugh to get him to come to New York. And that was a crazy video. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Some pretty interesting, to say the least, stuff in there. But no, I say that to say I'm happy for John Harbaugh, man. I mean, if he doesn't want to thank the fans, if he left that out of his speech, sure, cool, fine. I still wish him the best. You know, he had a long 18 years here. There were some ups, there were some downs. It was just time. The relationship had ran its course. It's like, when you and your ex break up after X amount of years, you guys both knew it was time to probably break up and just rip the Band-Aid off. And then she's off, talking to some other dude, or adversely, your ex-boyfriend's talking to some other girl, whatever. You just kind of gotta salute him, be happy for him, and move on. That's where I'm at with John Harbaugh. I'm happy for him, man. Appreciate the super chat donation, brother. Appreciate that. Let's see here. Make sure I'm not missing anything. Oh, we got another one. Another super chat donation. You guys going crazy tonight. Appreciate that, y'all. 86 Ghost with the 5-piece donation in the chat says, we can interview the week of the Pro Bowl even if the Seahawks win. Interesting. I didn't realize that. But I don't think that we can't announce anything until after the Super Bowl, I would presume. Right? Either way, I don't know about y'all. I am ready to get off of this coaching carousel. I might end up getting motion sickness if we go too much longer not having a head coach. The house don't feel stable right now. It just doesn't. you know. Uh so yeah, no, but no, that's interesting. I mean, if Kubiak is really their guy and they're dead set on him and they're just kind of waiting for his season to be over, if they have the opportunity to get their second interview with him during Pro Bowl week, that would be Kubiak's second interview with the Ravens because they conducted a Zoom interview with him last week, and nobody else did. I think that the Ravens would have the leg up to go ahead and bring him in as their next head coach because this would be the second time that they're talking to him. It would be in house. Huh. It'd be interesting. It'd be interesting. I still think the odds-on favorite right now is Jesse Minter, Chargers defensive coordinator. He is the odds-on favorite to be the next Ravens head coach. And me and Alex talked about that last night, where the better that Mike McDonald does in these playoffs, it makes the idea of Jesse Minter that much more attractive because you don't want to miss out on what could potentially be the next Mike McDonald. And is it kind of weird to draw a parallel between the two? Like you never know with these coaches who's going to turn out to be, you know, a great head coach and who probably should have just stayed a coordinator. You never really know. But the fact that that potential is there, I think does say something about how they feel about Jesse Minter, who's already out of the playoffs. So if Kubiak either goes to the Super Bowl and he doesn't want to take any interviews before the Super Bowl and he just wants to totally lock in on winning a chip for Seattle, which again, I would understand. If it were me in the scenario, I'm not taking any interviews until after the Super Bowl. If you want me that bad, wait until after I'm done. And that should speak to my character, honestly. The fact that I'm totally 100% bought in on the job. I'm not taking my eyes off of the prize to go see what's next. No, I'm totally locked in and focused on what is ahead of me. I don't see why more coaches don't do that. You know, these head coaching positions. I'm not going to say that they're not going anywhere because the spots do get filled up. But if a team really feels that strongly about you, they'll wait out for you. They will. And we'll see if the Ravens do that for Kubiak. We'll see if they do that for Kubiak. I certainly hope they do. But appreciate your super chat donation, 86 Ghosts, making it rain here on this episode of Quiet Storm Sports. Let me see here. Chef Spicy Rice says trade Lamar for Fernando Mendoza. This is just some nonsense to get things shaken up. Nothing serious in it. Yeah, I mean, it's just for some clicks, right? And you would think that like you wouldn't see stuff like that until after the season is over. Because if you're Mike Florio, why do you have to put out this clickbait now? You still have playoff football. We still have some crazy storylines. We just came off of one of the craziest divisional round weekends. Half the games were in overtime. Josh Allen is eliminated. Sean McDermott is fired. Why are you talking about the prospect of Lamar Jackson being traded to the Raiders when Lamar Jackson has a no trade clause? I mean, that's a reach fit for Mr. Fantastic, if I've ever seen one. Because it's just, where do you get this stuff from? Where do you get it from? I don't know. We got another super chat donation in the chat. Let me see, who's this one coming from? Asmodeus, making it rain with the bomb in the chat, the 20-piece bomb. Appreciate you, Asmodeus. Appreciate that, brother. Says, my 1A, 1B is Minter and Kubiak. They both are very similar. Minter mirrors Mike Mack, but Kubiak mirrors his dad, who was OC in 2014 as Ozzy's pick. He then left for Denver and won a Super Bowl that year. These are both fixing history picks. Okay, so your 1A, 1B is Minter and Kubiak. Again, I think that you're, and maybe rightfully so, Asmodeus, falling in love with the prospect of Minter being the next Mike Mack. For my money, I think I would rather go with Clint Kubiak, who has this lineage of coaching in his family. Again, his father being Gary Kubiak. Know a lot about him. And he's also an offensive minded guy. So you're saying your 1A is a defensive minded guy. Your 1B is an offensive minded guy. Please let me know why you would prefer the defensive coach over the offensive coach. Because here's my thing. I think Kubiak, and from everything that I've heard, would be a little bit more of a leader. It's not that I've heard bad things about Jesse Minter. Even Alex told me yesterday that he is a player's coach based off of what he knows, what he's seen, and I believe that. But based off of what I've seen and what I've heard, Kubiak is that guy. I think Kubiak could be the next Mike McDonald, but on offense, right? And get back to the Ravens scoring 30 plus points a game. Let me see. I think Asmodeus is clarifying some stuff in here. He says no, switch it around. Kubiak is his favorite guy by a very slight margin. I love that. Javier T7X says, "Hey buddy, just saw your Caleb last run interception and OT breakdown. You're on fucking point. Cool shit. Appreciate that, Javier. Appreciate that. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with that video. Had a lot of fun breaking down why I thought Caleb Williams was a little bit too big for that moment. He was a little bit too big for what the moment required at the end of that game on Sunday night against the Rams. Just take the check down, stay on the field, employ the Tom Brady thing. I mean, Caleb Williams is big friends with he's friends with Tom Brady. I think they have each other's phone number. Maybe he needs to hit up Tom Brady in the offseason. Like, hey, remember when you were in New England and you won a bunch of games in the playoffs? Not by big sexy throws down the field and, highlight reels and stuff like that, but just by death by a million cuts. Yeah. How do you do that? How do you methodically move down the field and not not let your eyes get bigger than your stomach and just go for it all and end up throwing the season away? How do you do that? Caleb Williams needs to ask Tom Brady that. He does. Let's see here. Another super chat donation. Yakuzi 2020 says, "Great work, my brother. Keep it up. Raven forever." Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that, brother. Ravens forever, man. Ravens forever. Been a fan of this team since I was maybe 5 years old, right? The first quarterback I remember, I think that was back in the quarterback right before Kyle Bowler. Can't remember name's escaping me right now. Golly. Drop it in the chat if you know the quarterback right before Kyle Bowler. It's going to come back to me, but appreciate you, Yakuzi. Appreciate you. Raven forever. Appreciate that. But okay. Let's see. Zeke Okage in the house. What's going on, Zeke? Zeke was in the sudden reactions this morning. All right. Chat's going crazy. Another super chat donation is Modius dropping one again. $2 says, "I think Lamar's extension gets done same time we get a head coach." That would be the most ideal thing ever. If you want this offseason to go as smoothly as possible, yes, you want to get the head coach and the Lamar deal done in the same time span, like in the same time frame, rather. That way, you can go full speed ahead this offseason with free agency, with the draft, with OTAs and minicamp, training camp, all of that. And obviously, all of that will probably be figured out. Maybe not the Lamar contract, but we'll definitely have a head coach by then. But if you get it all done as soon as possible, you get a full offseason of preparation with the new nucleus in town. New head coach, new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. And then, of course, you still have Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, what have you. New draft. I mean, you get an entire offseason. And if I'm Eric DeCosta personally, I'm really putting the pedal to the metal when it comes to both of those matters, right? All right, let's get my head coach in here. I'm sure Eric DeCosta already knows who he likes. I'm sure EDC has already narrowed it down to who he likes the most. I'm sure he's already narrowed it down. Looks like we got a new sub. Appreciate that. Emmanuel, appreciate the sub, man. So yeah, if I'm EDC, like, yeah, I don't want to get anywhere near the draft without locking down my starting quarterback and freeing up some cap space. Hell, I don't even want to get near free agency. I think you got to get this done now. If I'm Eric DaCosta, I'm on the phone with Lamar Jackson right now as we speak, trying to work out some numbers. It's going to take that type of effort. But EDC, he's got his work cut out for them. He's got his work cut out for him this offseason. Appreciate that super chat donation again, Asmodeus. Yeah, Lamar would already be in the building. Elvis Gerback. Woo, what a pull. What a pull, Antonio. Appreciate that, man. Got to go back and look up some Elvis Gerback highlights after this one, guys. Appreciate that. All right, let's get into some more news. What else did I have here? I already showed you guys the Shady McCoy nonsense. Scroll back up here. What else did I have? Oh, Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel, who's also another hot name in this Ravens coaching search. It was reported today that Mike McDaniel informed the Cleveland Browns he is withdrawing his name from their head coaching search ahead of a scheduled interview in person with them on Wednesday. It says McDaniel, who is still a candidate for the Ravens and Raiders head coaching vacancies, is interviewing for the Chargers offensive coordinator job today. He has multiple offensive coordinator offers and could have a new home soon. And as you guys know, late last week, it came out that Mike McDaniel would be open to not only head coaching jobs, but also offensive coordinator jobs, which I thought very cool. Come to Baltimore. We'll put you in that OC chair. You get to coach the quarterback of your dreams, right? Sit back, relax, enjoy the ride with Lamar Jackson. You're going from Tua Tagovailoa, who has negative rushing ability. In fact, Vegas sets his rushing line at over under a half a yard each game. You're going from that to a guy who can throw better and can run way better. Who says no to that? If you're Mike McDaniel, how do you say no to the Ravens? Ideally, Mike McDaniel is the Ravens' next offensive coordinator. But again, I think that with McDaniel, the Ravens will probably wait around a little bit. They want to interview Kubiak again and whoever else. And McDaniel will probably be scooped up by then. Honestly, I feel like McDaniel is getting ready to get his next job maybe by tomorrow. What this news tells me here is that he might have already verbally agreed with the team. Who did it say he interviewed with today? The Chargers? Justin Herbert? Amari and Hampton? They could use some help at wide receiver. Of course, Keenan Allen's not going to be around. Quentin Johnston, he's like him and Rashad Bateman trade turns. They trade turns having good years. Quentin Johnston had a decent year this year. Bateman had a good year last year. They probably still do some stuff in the draft and some poking around in free agency for another pass catcher. But I mean, I could totally see Mike McDaniel becoming the OC for the LA Chargers underneath Jim Harbaugh. I could see it. Now, I don't know how much Jim Harbaugh and a Mike McDaniel would get along, just knowing the personalities of those two guys. And of course, I don't know them personally, but based off of what we know, Jim Harbaugh he's a hardball. So he is a my way or the highway type of guy. And he's much more no nonsense than John Harbaugh, I would say. Jim Harbaugh is the younger brother of John Harbaugh, but Jim Harbaugh is the more aggressive and dominant brother. And you can ask John Harbaugh, he would agree. He would totally concur with that statement. So I don't know. I don't know how that will work out. I don't know what McDaniel's going to do, but I just don't think that he's going to come and be on the Ravens, man. I think he's going to get scooped up in the next couple of days, maybe next 48 hours. Another super chat donation coming from 86 Ghost says Modi is trying to make me look bad like a church donation battle. You win, sir. Trying to one up you in the sections. You see the section from across the club, they buying bottles, we buying bottles. We buying bottles, they buying bottles. It's a bottle wars. It's bottle wars in the chat. Bottle wars in the chat. As I'm saying, we're making it rain. Making it rain. Khalil says, Sutton, read the chat. Let me 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 see. Let me see. Let me see. Tonight. Read the damn chat. As Modius says, it's not a competition, bro. I'm just giving back to Sutton. I appreciate that. It's a breath of fresh air to leave the vault / Bobby Baltimore toxic live chat. I haven't been over there. I haven't been over there in a little while, to be honest with you. How are they doing? How are the good people over at the vault doing? Because I don't know. Salute to them. I haven't tuned in recently. Let's see. We got another one coming in from Asmodeus. Oh my gosh, brother. Oh my gosh, bro. You talk about bottle wars. I was just joking, bro, but I appreciate it so much, man. You talk about you just shut down the club. Asmodeus just shut down the entire club. Dropping 100-piece in the chat, says for your bottle, appreciate your work. Hell, I can get a couple of bottles with that one, man. Asmodeus, I appreciate you. I appreciate you so much, man. And I've talked to you about things that I have in the works for this channel with you in mind. And trust me, those things are coming. They are coming. Trust and believe that. I appreciate you making it rain here on this episode of Quiet Storm Sports, making a thunderstorm. Making an absolutely thunderstorm with $100 super chat donation, man. I appreciate that, man. It does not go unnoticed. This is why I'm able to do things like upgrade the content space, like getting this new mic last week. You guys support me so much on this channel. I would be remiss. I could not do anything other than pour this money back into this channel to make this a better experience for you guys. That's why I appreciate all of your feedback. I appreciate it so much, man. I'm at a loss for words. I am. That's love. That's love right there. Wow. I'm gonna keep this up here for a minute, but I heard that Mike McDaniel he's hired now. Is that a fact? Let me see, chat. Let me see. Let's look this up. Real time. Twitter mentions going crazy. Let me see. I see Ari Myrov tweet. Let me see. Yep, there it is. Wow. The Chargers are hiring former Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel as their new offensive coordinator. It happened. As we're sitting here talking about it, guys. That is a huge hire for Jim Harbaugh. A huge hire. Again, and I just got done talking about how I don't know exactly how much Jim and Mike will get along. I could see like them being in like a meeting, like a coach's meeting or something like that, and Jim asking a serious question, and Mike McDaniel just being like the most unserious, quirky, giving the most unserious and quirky response imaginable, and it just driving Jim Harbaugh absolutely bonkers. I could totally see that. So, but this is interesting. It's interesting to see how they're going to unlock the rest of this Chargers offense, right? Because Greg Roman, Chargers fans, they saw quick, fast, and in a hurry why the Ravens were in a hurry to get rid of Greg Roman a couple years ago. So they moved off of him. Honestly, and let me just say this as a quick aside, I think Greg Roman should go back to Buffalo, where he coached from 2014 to 2016 as the OC. So before the Josh Allen days. I think that would be a great move. Greg Roman as the Bills offensive coordinator. That'd be great for them. Just saying. Let me know what you guys think about it. But damn, man, Chargers are hiring Mike McDaniel. So this shrinks the list even more. And this is exactly why things like this, I mean, this hiring, the news of it broke at what time is it? 8 o'clock. So it's like 9 o'clock on the East Coast. I mean, the news is just breaking at any time. Like coaches can get swept up off the market at any given moment, guys. And this is what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if some of these other guys will be there by the time that Kubiak's done with his playoff campaign. I just don't. So I think that stuff like this happening puts extra pressure in real time on Steve Bisciotti, on Eric DeCosta, on Sashi Brown. Hell, on Lamar Jackson, who's supposed to be sitting in on some of these interviews. Man, I just don't know how much longer the Ravens are going to be willing to wait. I just don't know how much longer Steve Bisciotti, Eric DeCosta, and those guys are going to be willing to wait for their next head coach. I think that they might be pressured into hiring somebody. And I hope it's not the wrong candidate. Right? But with guys flying off like east, like left and right, I mean, this is Mike McDaniel tonight. Last night it was Robert Saleh. Who's tomorrow night? Brian Flores. Will the Steelers hire Brian Flores tomorrow? You guys know what I mean? They're flying off the shelves like hotcakes right now. These head coaches are. Wow. 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 My guy Taurus in the chat says we're in it for the long haul. Sutton trust Bisciotti. Yeah. I hope so. I didn't want McDaniels either, for the record, by the way, but he was somebody who, the Ravens were definitely taking a very, very close look at. They were taking a very close look at Mike McDaniel. So, ooh, that's crazy. That's crazy. But I know there's other context to this. Let me see the context. They always drop context with it. Let me see. Oh, nope, not my tweet. Oh, the Ravens plan to bring in Bills offensive coordinator Joe Brady this week for a second interview. So I think he's part of the finalists. Again, just really quick, and I said this obviously on my Twitter. After this past Saturday, I'm all set on Joe Brady. All set. And people were in my comments saying things like, oh, he called a great game. Did you watch the game? He's been great all season with a lack of weapons. It's like, okay, awesome. Cool. What did he do in overtime? What did he call in overtime? There's a video on this channel that breaks down. I posted it yesterday. It breaks down why I think Joe Brady and Sean McDermott, because he allowed it, he's the head coach, or was, they allowed the Buffalo Bills to just run anything in overtime. He failed Josh Allen in overtime. No design runs. For a quarterback who's one of the best dual threat quarterbacks in the National Football League, no design runs to put extra pressure on that defense in overtime where the defense is gassed. You get your quarterback on the move and get them chasing down that big 6'4" or 5", 250, however big Josh Allen is. Make them chase him down and tackle him. Instead, no. Runs up the middle to James Cook on first down. Next first down, run up the middle to James Cook. Each time, getting 1 yard, getting no yards, losing yardage, getting 3 yards. A good offensive coordinator does not have their team living in second and third and long. And that's what Joe Brady had Josh Allen and the Bills doing in overtime of that game. So I'm good on Joe Brady. When you talk about situational play calling, I need that to be creme de la creme. Okay? Not what Joe Brady offers for me. For me. Mike Tomlin. Wait, hold on. What is this? Steelers running back Najee Harris told Marshawn Lynch that Mike Tomlin advised him to leave the Steelers and sign with a new team in free agency. Saying, in quote, he said, Najee, I will always talk to you not as if you are a player, but as if you are my son. He was like, let me see if there's the rest of this tweet. I don't think, oh wait, there it is. He was like, you was my son. I would tell you not to come back here. I was like, all right, bet. It wasn't no hard feelings or nothing like that. Interesting. Former Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel is set to join Jim Harbaugh's Chargers coaching staff as OC. Yep. The Eagles and the Bucks both had Mike McDaniel as their top offensive coordinator target, but going back to the West Coast with a quarterback like Justin Herbert was more appealing. Interesting. So again, this begs the question, guys. If the Seahawks lose this week and Kubiak is available, which I know he's probably the leading candidate for a lot of people, a lot of the fan base, who does Kubiak want to coach? You know, again, and like I said, these head coaches are flying off the shelves. So I think that the Ravens, they kind of got to make a move soon. Again, you don't want to be too hasty and reach, but at the same time, you don't want to, come out of this playoffs with, for lack of better words, your dick in your hand, not knowing what to do because everybody else got hired already. I know, I guess we might as well go with Darren Rizzi now, since nobody else is available. There's a fine line between, waiting too long in the just right moment, or picking too soon. I mean, that's what it is. That's what it is. But yeah. I think that was all of the news that I had for tonight. Good people. I think that was all the news I had. Yeah. So what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream here about an hour and a half in. However, this has been an amazing stream. I appreciate you guys so much. Of course, we will be back on tomorrow, another episode of Quiet Storm Sports. Please don't hate me for leaving. Please don't hate me for turning off the stream now. I know my guy Taurus is going to, get after me saying I need to make these streams longer, but I've been on live for an hour and a half. And you guys have been great. This has been an amazing episode of the show. Of course, I will be live tomorrow, Quiet Storm Sports, like I said, and I will be live in the morning with Sudden Reaction. So if you like to chop it up about things that aren't related to sports or related to football, and you want to get into some messy topics, maybe some political topics, if that's your thing, some fun and engaging topics, that's what we do on that show. Make sure you check out an episode here on the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. And then subscribe to the Sudden Reactions YouTube channel as well. If you're not subscribed to this channel, the Purple Rain Podcast, where we talk about all things Baltimore Ravens. Again, hello, my name is Sudden Deaf. Hopefully you enjoyed the content that you just consumed. Please make sure to like this video, guys. Please, please, please. If there's one thing that you do before you get out of here, please, please, please like the video, leave a thumbs up, and subscribe. That's all I'm asking, guys. I appreciate you guys. Each and every one of you guys who came out to this episode, each and every one of you guys who donated, as Modius with the absolute bomb down here. I still have it on the screen, 100 piece in the chat. Appreciate that, man. That's absolutely huge. Let me see, go through all the donors here on this episode of the show before we get out of here. Of course, is Modius. Appreciate you, brother. 86 Ghosts. Appreciate you, brother. Yakuzi 2020. Appreciate you, brother. Purple City 410. Appreciate you. Yeah, and those were our donors for the night. You guys have been amazing. I will see you guys in the morning as always. Stay positive, test negative, and never, ever, ever forget, even on the rainiest of days, to call God. My name is Sudden Deaf. I'll catch you guys in the next episode of the show. This has been Quiet Storm Sports. Peace out.